So we have a fascinating Torah portion. I'm recording. Fascinating Torah portion this week, which has so many details and so many events that occur in this week's Torah portion. Just to summarize a few, it actually goes through the entire calendar. So the observance of daily practice in Judaism, as well as the weekly Shabbat celebration, the monthly Rosh Chodesh celebration, the three major pilgrimage festivals of Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and then of course the high holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They're all mentioned in this week's Torah portion. Now, before we go into those details, it's interesting that the Torah intentionally discusses something that seemingly is unrelated, but hopefully through what we're going to discuss tonight, we'll understand the connection. So what's discussed before that, and the name of the Torah portion I should mention, is the portion of Pinchas. Pinchas was the grandson of Aaron, and he ended up becoming a Kohen as well. And the Torah describes in this week's Torah portion how, as the Jewish people were preparing to enter the land of Israel, they started to discuss how the land is going to be divided. Because as we know, there was 12 tribes, and each of the 12 tribes had many individuals within those tribes, and they all needed to be accounted for and cared for as they went into the land. So the Torah describes how Moshe took note of all the qualifications, all the needs of each tribe. Those that were more agriculturally inclined had nice lush pasture. Those that were more merchants would be near the ocean. Those that were more studious would be close to places where they could set up places to study, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, some of the other considerations were some tribes were much bigger than others. Some of them were double or triple the size of the others. Some were blessed with much larger groups, some were much smaller. So all of this had to be factored in and figured out before they would enter the land, so it wouldn't be chaos on day one when they enter into the Holy Land. So Moshe, we are told, figured out everything every perfect match for each tribe and how they should get the piece that is most fitting for them. And you would think once you've planned it and organized it and thought it through, you have a plan, you act upon it. But here the Torah throws in a whole new layer to the process. And the Torah tells us that God tells Moshe, the way I want you to confirm this is to make a lottery. And this lottery is the lottery process is he was told to make one box with 12 names on it, and then another box with 12 pieces of land on it, and then you pull out one from each box and you match them together, and there you have the pairing of the piece of land to the tribe, and it becomes confirmed by that. Now, miraculously, after Moshe had planned the division of the land in the way that he saw fit, when he went ahead to make the lottery, the lottery produced the exact same results as what he had planned on his own. And obviously this miraculous this miracle is nice, but the question is, why the duplicity? Why have a miraculous process that delivers the exact same results as the natural planning and processing of what is best? It's one thing if they planned most of it and the miracle of the lottery would tweak it and change it. But no, not one change, not one adjustment. Everything that he had figured out through his own processing was exactly the way the lottery confirmed it to be as well. So why the two? We know there's a general rule that God does not make miracles for nothing. And over here, if God wanted it to be a miraculous process, why did he have to figure it out on his own? And if God wanted it to figure it out on his own, why would he need the miracle? If they're both aligned, they're both giving the same message. And the explanation that's given is a very beautiful one, which is that this is really a lesson in life in general. Because maybe the outcome is the same, but the qualitative level of conviction, of certainty, of confidence rises dramatically when you know that this is divinely ordained, and through the process of a miracle, it is being validated to be accurate and correct. In life, we know we, for the most part, function with rational, logical decisions and process things to the best of our ability, to the best of our understanding. And we come to the conclusions that we hope are correct. But the level of confidence that is imbued in that final conclusion can sometimes be lacking. Whereas when we know and when we are reassured that the conclusion that we come to is divinely validated as well, then we march forward with that decision and that conclusion with a greater sense of confidence, and even with a greater sense of purpose as well. And this is what the message of the Torah portion is, by conveying these two parts of the process, where on one hand they were told to approach it rationally. They had to use their own faculties, their own processes, to try and understand what is best and what the most wisest decision is. At the same time, they're also being told that the value of their conclusion is not limited to the human understanding, but is actually endorsed by a spiritual, higher, lofty, godly validation that tells us this is our purpose as well. And in life, this can be applied in so many important ways. Do you move to this house? Do you move to that house? Do you move to this city? Do you move to that city? Do you take this job? Do you take that job? We're always making decisions. Every single day is filled with decisions. Do you have ketchup? Do you have that brand? Do you have the mustard? Do you have it with do you have organic? Do you have gluten-free? We have millions of decisions, some more important than others, and some are really important in life. And the question is, how do we look at them once we've decided? Do we look at them as, oh, we did it, we decided, but maybe it was a big mistake? Or do we look at it with a level of certainty that is coming from a loftier, more godly place, and say, if this is what happened, if this is where I am now, then this is the way it's supposed to be. There was actually an interesting story told about three great Hasidic masters, and they were having a discussion, and they were looking at the world around them and the state of affairs, and seeing how so many things are really not the way they should be. And one said, if I was God, I would make the world add the attribute of kindness, of chesed to the world. Things wouldn't be so harsh, so challenging. I would infuse a good dose of kindness into the world so that people's lives would be a little bit easier. And the other one said, that's the way you look at it. I actually think if I was God, I would be a little bit stricter. I think people get away with way too much. People don't take personal responsibility. I would add a good dose of gevura, of discipline, of accountability. And the third one said, if I was God, I would make the world exactly the way God made it. Because if this is the way it is, then this is the way he wants it to be. And when we accept that, the way it is the way it's meant to be, we remove a lot of exhaustion and a lot of mental space of thinking if this is the way it's meant to be. And when we can clear the mind and clear the nerves from questioning whether it's meant to be the way it is or not, we have much more resources and much more energy and positivity to take what we've got and take it to the next level and utilize the opportunity, utilize the moment, utilize the situation for a God-given purpose. So this is really the message of the Torah portion, and something that we can really internalize and personalize and relate to, hopefully in our own personal lives as well.